I'm telling you, baby, someday I'll buy you those skates and a fine silk dress, too. And that house with the big tree in the yard. Just you wait and see if I don't.
Oh, Papa, I love you.
And not only that, when our ship comes in, well, we'll be mighty important. We won't put on no airs, but people will respect us, see? And they'll know us wherever we go, all over Brooklyn. They'll say, top of the day.
Papa, when our ship comes in, will I still have my imagination? I mean, will I grow hard and cold?
Wait, prima donna, what are you saying?
Well, my teacher says I could be a writer if I worked hard, that I have a real gift, an imagination, and she said that some writers change the world.
Well, sure, honey, them school compositions you wrote. Gosh, they were fine.
I've been thinking that maybe it's because we're poor. Can rich folks write too? Do they have any imagination?
Gee, I don't know, prima donna.
Oh, Papa, I read that money changes people. I don't want to be rich if I can't express my true self. What about my worldview? What about art?
If that's the way you want it, honey, I'll see to it my own self. Why, we'll be so poor the church mice will feel sorry for us and give us their cheese. Just you wait and see if they don't.
Oh, Papa, I love you.
It's the Neo Radio Hour. Hi, I'm Peter Donalds. This is the Neo Radio Hour, home of independent writers, musicians, home tapers, the folk artists of the electronic age. We've got the usual eclectic mix of scenes, stories, sound sculpture, and original music, including a few neo-bits from our own studios. Regulars Mr. Sunshine and the Milords are on the program tonight. And in conversation, we go back a couple years to a previously unaired segment from a live version of the show we did once upon a time, where we'll cover a wide range of issues. It's the Neo Radio Hour, where we currently don't have to worry about money ruining our sense of art. Not yet, anyway.
He lived in a different place. He moved on a different level. His brain worked in unusual and mysterious ways. His mind spawned thoughts which would be taken by most to be quite peculiar. Late at night he would lurk down dark alleys, along side streets. He'd climb fences and creep around in people's yards. If he found things in the yard to be interesting, he would climb through the basement window and hang around in the cellar for hours on end, very quietly going through whatever was there to be found. This was all part of a very elaborate process, whereby he chose his victims. If, after carefully scrutinizing what he found in the basement, he decided that the things there were interesting, he would quietly sneak up the stairs and go into the people's bedroom and speak to them in their sleep. Don't do that anymore, he'd whisper, or you ought to cut that out. It ain't right, he'd murmur, or what birds don't fly at night, he would ask. The next day, his victims would wake feeling strange sensations of disassociated guilt. They would experience odd, nagging, latent confusions, which would follow them around all day. And try as they might, they couldn't figure out what it was that they did that made them feel as if they had done something wrong. In the morning, he'd wait outside their houses, chain-smoking cigarettes, and watch as they went off to work with furrowed brows, troubled scowls, or blank stares. This pleased him to no end. He'd feel as though he'd really accomplished something. Once they were gone, once out of his sight, he'd go back to his crummy room and lie in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about where he'd skulk around that night and who his next victims might be.
Hickory dickory dock. Turn up the clock and ding. I got 10, hickory dickory dock. The NeoRadio hour.
This song is about the love of my life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the thing
Which
that means
is
the
what?
very, very most to me in this world.
And what is that?
Yeah, she's the most beautiful thing I know.
Oh, now you talking about some dame.
What? You know I ain't talking about no hoe, baby.
I know what you talking about,
You know I'm talking about my baby blue Vespa Primavera.
Believe kid kicking.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm talking
I
about.
know what you're talking about.
It's more than just a
talking
scooter,
about-
baby. You know I'm talking about a commitment.
You know what I'm saying?
So for those of you who don't really know what I'm talking about, let me tell you about my Vespa. My Primavera's got a shiny coat so blue. Because I take the book, I Capolini kid too. I never have a problem being noticed in the crowd. My horn is working fly, mama loves quite as loud. Women everywhere that wanna ride my pretty boy. I tell them it look good, but it ain't no toy. I take it for a ride, then I take it for a spin. And every time I hit, say I wanna go again. My Primavera is so fast and notable in mine. People since they roll around and find a right to kind. The beat 200 switch, that's your gears, rallies win. And I spit out as fast as Primavera getting back. I go to rallies, man, the people stare in awe. They look like scooter up and down, they can't find a flaw. The betters are nice, but I like my ride. Two people like to cut, but they can't hurt the ride. Sticky fingers! Fellini kid tough. You say you ride as fast, man, but that ain't enough. I ride it so fast it belongs in the sky. I break his speed lost when I do it try. Ladies, I'm doing my backseat for you. And when you get your ride, you know what to do. So hold on tight because you're gonna get rocked. And when you ride something, you know your boots get knocked out. So now that you know all about my pretty boy, now that you know that he ain't no toy, you may be my friend, you may be grown up, but if you want to ride, then you must play your own. Don't feel mad that I feel this way. If it was your man, that's what you'd say. I treat me very, very like a man with the sun. To save my very, very man, I kill anyone.
Bill be floating, man.
Hey, yo, Beetle, come here.
In a cold brick corner,
of the Catholic schoolyard, Oogie, Beetle, and the Grogan brothers, each with a parasol in one hand and a beer in the other, practice their steps for Broad Street. Dressed in wench suits, passed down from their fathers, smudged on makeup faces, strutting a stiff-legged wobble, lifting their skirts to show off their oversized sateen bloomers, they sang an old mummer's song to the dawn. In the house across the street, the one with the aluminum siding, warmed by a cauldron of pea soup, Gus and Floss began their day. You better get up, you bum. I've been up all night sewing feathers on that goddamn duck of yours. It's a stalk, Floss. How many times I gotta tell you? Leave me alone and make me a cup of joe, will you? Gus had been out till 2 in the morning, celebrating New Year's Eve with a couple of renegade fancy dans. His suit for this year's parade was a 7-foot stork with a baby doll in its beak. It represented the birth of a new year. A vision that came to him after a beer and a bologna sandwich that caused him to pass out in his lounger with the TV on. He'd been working on it since the day after last year's parade, and, as usual, waited until the last minute to have Floss do the finishing touches. If I'm late, that son of a bitch Charlie Centers will ride my ass to Race Street. He staggered around the room, putting on his layers of underclothes, stopping at the mirror to pin a piece of the long johns he wore at his first parade onto his new insulateds. This was Gus's 30th year up the street. He started New Year shooting as a page boy in the days of the 100-foot captain's capes. This year, he was going up with the Pearl Club. Hey, babe, got any of them diet pills left over to get me going? Yeah, they're on the hutch. Gus popped the pills, gulped his taster's choice, and lit a cigarette. I'm going to be beautiful out there today, he said, leaning against the sink full of dirty dishes. Give me a hand with the stalk, will you, babe? Gus and Floss got through the front door without losing a feather. He got inside the stork and strapped it to his back, thinking that he could have made the eye holes a little bigger. Floss tapped on the feathered cardboard and paper mache. Hey, can you hear me inside that thing? Huh? You simple bastard. You'll never make it to South Street alive. Gus waddled into the parade, aiming himself towards a brass band that played wicked O.M. Golden Slippers. It was the Del Maestro brothers' outfit from Jersey, doing their best not to let the spit freeze in their horns. Bernie McGugan, clad in a green satin dude suit, with life-size imitation doves perched on each of his overstuffed shoulders, danced up beside Gus and gave him a goose. Hey, Gus, I could tell it was you by the feet. Here, have a beer. Aw, thanks, Bern. Hey, you seen that son of a bitch Charlie Centers? Hey, he's right over here. Hey, Charlie, how do you like Gus's suit? Now, Charlie was a son of a bitch. He paraded every year dressed as the devil, loaded on uppers. He clumsily pirouetted over, jabbing at Gus and Bernie with his rubber pitchfork. Good theme, very clever, he jibed with a stab to the baby doll that was attached to Gus's golden beak, causing his suit to sway. Yo, Charles, careful with my baby there, yelled Gus, reeling into the brass band. He knocked the top hat off the trombone player and would have wound up with his doll and the tuba if the brilliant snare drummer hadn't have beat him back with a tattoo to the belly of his resonant suit. The temperature couldn't have been above 20 degrees, but the sidewalks overflowed with spectators, many of whom treated hangovers in various manners. My Uncle Wojtek says it's best to drink more. Everybody from the six-button bennies to the mayor's wife was there, passing around whiskey pints and hot thermos of coffee, chomping on hoagies and hot pretzels, hooting and whistling at the female impersonators, stevedores and crane operators from the dock workers local. Singing along with the bands, they jeered and cheered the parodiers. Hey, look, it's Anthony from 2th Street. Hey, Anthony, come here. Happy New Year's. You look beautiful there. Philly breeds some tough people, and to be in a throng of up to 20 or 30,000 of them without feeling like you're about to get mugged is a unique experience. A couple of fist and bottle fights broke out near South Street, but for the most part, the parade was its usual good-natured white guy's monster jam. The people in Philly have been performing this annual mummery for about 250 years. Its roots are in European paganism, from Momus, the god of satire. Babies are born and old guys die on Broad Street every New Year's Day. Gus's suit was a big hit with the kids, bundled up on the curb or perched on Daddy's shoulders, who squealed with delight as he dipped his beak into the throng. Bernie cakewalked behind a band with a wench on each arm, smiling like it was a summer day, while Charlie terrorized groups of teenage girls with his pointed tail and frightened kids who sat on the curb with his pitchfork and whiskey breath. When the parade got held up at Walnut Street, Gus had Charlie and Byrne lift the stork from his back. I gotta take a leak, guys. Make sure nobody runs into me suit. I'll be right back. Gus was in and out of 2 bars and a restaurant, where the bathrooms were occupied. His back was beginning to hurt from holding it in when he noticed that the alley next to the Bellevue Stratford was free, so he bopped in for relief. He was shaking himself off when he spotted 2 cops walking towards him. Yo, you some kind of pervert or something? Growled the big cop, slapping his nightstick in his meaty palm. I was just taking a leak. I ain't hurting nobody. Hey, look, I gotta get back to me suit there. The smaller cop made a grab for Gus. He ducked and dodged him, but was collared by the big one, who whacked Gus a mean blow to the noggin. Well, Gus flipped out and gave the copper a swift kick in the balls and bolted through the alley to the sidewalk, where the crowd stood like a wall to the street. On his hands and knees, he snaked through the crowd. Cursed and kicked, he emerged and ran for his suit. Get me in, Byrne, demanded Gus, posed to enter his suit. Hey, what happened to you, Gus? You got a knot in your head. You look like somebody kicked the Yeah, just get me in the goddamn suit, Byrne. The cops are after me. Inside the store, Gus was sweating, and the lump on his head was throbbing. His vision, at first limited by his suit, was now becoming blurred. Byrne, he shouted. I'm here, Gus. You okay? I just ain't seeing too good right now. Kinda guide me up the street, will you? Bernie poked a beer through one of the eye holes and yelled into the other. Stick this on that knot, Gus. It'll take down the swelling. At the corner, Gus and Byrne were met by 4 steaming Philly cops. They let Byrne go, but Gus wasn't going to make it all the way up the street this year. The cop who got kicked in the nuts fingered Gus. Knew it was him by the feet. Gus spent the rest of the day in the drunk tank with a stoned and rowdy group of dudes and wenches from the Liberty Club. He was able to get in touch with Reds, the committee man, who assured him that he would clear up the incident and notify Floss. Gus squatted by the bars, thinking of the times in the past when he didn't make it up the street. His fight with Danny Gallagher on Washington Avenue in 27. Him and Charlie getting busted for throwing firecrackers into the crowd at Pine Street in 34. Apart from the Piccone brothers fight and a few choruses of Golden Slippers and the Saints, I'll show you, Mark. Come on now. Gus's stay in the clink was uneventful. It snowed that night, and the cleanup crew threw the stork into a dumpster. And was Floss, who had to bail him out, ever PO'd.
You simple son of a bitch. You had me worried sick. I thought you got hit by a car or something. You're always hanging out with them fancy dans and satinarians. You ought to join up with them. You never hear any of them winding up in jail. If you had any sense...
Next year I'm gonna build this pyramid thing, babe. You can make me some real good shoulder straps. I'm gonna be beautiful out there.
Just the other day we went to Spooky's house. We played on his computer and we squeezed his little mouse. Trying to find all the graphic pictures. We went online, surfed the net and all its features. It wasn't easy, and when we were done, we'd found nothing sleazy. We'd had no fun. We're looking for the cyberporn, we're surfing for the smut. Dirty pictures, nasty chat, we haven't had good luck.
Hey, Anna.
Hey, Dana.
So, did you get to the 4th level of Earthworm Gym yet?
Okay, like I've already done that last Tuesday.
So, what are you doing?
Well, I'm looking for pictures of big, naked, hairy men nailed to tables.
Cool.
Problem is, I can't find anything anywhere.
That totally sucks.
So we browsed the web for hours for something to download. We searched through all the chat rooms and we asked about a ghost. We searched through all the programs to find a cyber lover. Unfortunately, we only ran into Big Brother. We're looking for the cyberporn, we're surfing for the smut. Dirty pictures, nasty chat, we haven't had good luck.
Greetings, Earthlings. Hailing frequencies open.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Care to join me in the Star Trek bulletin board?
Gee, with an offer like that, who could refuse? Actually, we're looking for some cyber pornography. Do you know where we can find any?
Actually, I've heard of a good home news address featuring our favorite, Jean-Luc Picard.
Cool.
The address is alt.bold.bestiality.klingon.ncc.
But it says it's shut down.
Well, maybe I didn't spell it right.
We were told that all we needed was good grammar. In this cyber world, you couldn't tell if we stammered. But that didn't matter, we couldn't find erotica. We couldn't even find a naked girl named Monica. We're looking for the cyberporn, we're surfing for the smut. Dirty pictures, nasty chat, we haven't had good luck.
Hey guys,
Hey, Nick.
Hello, Nicholas.
looking for some cyber pornography?
Yeah.
Yes!
Well, you're not going to find any on AOL, CompuServe, or any other commercial internet service.
Like, why not?
Because they're like closing out anything that's even remotely nasty before the government comes in and does it for them.
What does that mean?
It means if you type in sodomy, the best you're going to get is a city near Israel.
So we've been shut out and denied free speech. The internet has become a place to preach. There's no more cyber porn for America online. Why pass a law? Self-censorship is fine. But there are no dirty pictures and there's no more nasty chat. Our access code has been denied. Guess it's back to the magazine rack.
You're listening to the Neo Radio Hour, independent audio art.
To collect the paintings off my walls and move again. Farther this time, not just across town, but boundaries. Get out my brushes again or my clarinet. Pull on my jeans, too bad they're getting so small, and my cowboy boots after scraping off as much desert mud as possible and head on out for New Mexico. Dark-eyed Pueblo men, sleepy-eyed Spanish boys, old hippies, old beatniks, acid heads, burnouts, old back-to-the-earthers, old builders of solar houses, old Buddhists, old Indian groupies. Let's have them all over to the old girls' home. They can visit, but they cannot live here. Our hearth is sacred. We will guard a safe place for all the old girls who are ready to come home at last and tell war stories around the kitchen table over herb tea gathered fresh in the mountains. No more need to worry about touching up roots or covering gray or push-up bras or doing nails or nautilus. Now we will walk to strengthen our bones and for the joy of it, carrying wood and water, shoveling dirt. All that work will help burn off those fragrant yeasty loaves, chili and black beans simmering in a big iron pot. Deeper than sisters, we will cluster together, women of a certain age, women who have outrated the moon. Free again as innocent girls, so glad to have each other after all those years of dropping our friendships without a moment's thought whenever a man came along. No more. Now they leave their boots outside the door. New house rules apply in the old girls' home.
You're listening to the Neo Radio Hour. I'm Peter Donalds, and we're going to go back a little bit now, a couple of years, to a Neo Radio Hour which actually never aired, but it was produced live in front of an audience, and we've gone back to that tape for this week's Conversation Collage.
The issue of a collective life.
Yes.
Do you connect with that at all? Whether it be the media or maybe religion, if I dare bring that up, politics. How do we connect with everyone else? How do you connect?
The lack of physical spaces in our society, like town meeting places, markets, places where people would have come together in the past, I think, have obviated discourse. So therefore, I'm very interested in the radio format as a venue for replacing those physical spaces with a simulated or electronic space.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the media, in a sense, has taken over from personal experiences, from the.
Well, I wouldn't make that opposition. I think the media can be a way to convey personal experiences too.
Let me ask you something. There's a commercial, I don't remember who, it's for General Electric, I think, that beloved corporation, and they show scenes of people watching the same baseball game, I think it is. All different scenes, all different people of all income levels and stripes, all sharing the same experience, and they put this forth in their commercial as just the most romantic, wonderful thing. Does that scare you, or is that okay with you?
I guess I would like to see a little less passivity in the interaction.
I think the action, the body's forgotten. And that's the big problem today, is that we forgot we have a body. And new media might remind us of it if it can become a vehicle of body. I think it's only indirectly happening that way and not very much. And in Dallas, when I lived there, actually, people would wear those mustaches with glasses, that were Groucho Marx-ish with a big nose, and pull them out of their glove compartment in order to break the stability, the kind of granite-like experience of being in a traffic jam, and in order to bring back the body, though under a mask and a disguise, because in a car everything is neutralized. And I think bodily we're neutralized and expressively we're neutralized, and that's very, very scary. And I have great hopes that the radio hour can bring back the body, at least through sound as a beginning.
Well, sound, the human voice is a very bodily, organic thing, so maybe we're on the right track.
I was just wondering, when you're talking about collective thought, are you kind of referring to the fact that a lot of people believe that reality is just basically an agreement of the collective whole? That our whole reality is, and things, language, for instance, is just something that is a collective given because we've all agreed to the same terms? Or am I just going on a slightly weird tangent?
No, I like that tangent. That's not a weird tangent at all. What do you think of that, Shanahan?
Yeah, I'd normally throw somebody like this out of the show. But
yeah, you did that to me last time, I seem to recall.
Well, it's an intense question. When you say the collective whole, as if there's some whole wandering around collecting things, and...
No, I don't think you know what? I don't think it's necessarily abstract at all. You're saying that it's a system or a series of agreements, and I think a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah.